Were the Canes ever really going to trade Martin Necas? Or was it really fun for us to think about and really fun for us to explore, and there really wasn't much movement towards trading Martin Necas?
I mean, they had deals locked in, or at least one that we know of. So, yes.
Or at least Martin Necas made it clear he wasn't going to sign an extension there.
Well, yeah, but as far as the team goes, yeah, they were ready to do it.
Okay. That's not. I assumed it was like, hey, if they made preliminary thoughts before we get down to the finalization of this bad boy, would you sign an extension there? Because if I'm obviously you're talking about the Blue Jackets with the 4th overall.
Yes.
If I'm the Blue Jackets, I'm not going through the arduous process of deciding what I'd trade for Martin Necas before I know he's going to sign an extension.
Well, I think they agreed upon terms of if Necas agrees, this is what we're going to do. 4th overall pick's going to come back to Carolina. There might be some other, smaller things involved with it, but if Martin Necas said, "Yeah, I will sign a contract extension with there," it would have happened. So yes.
All right, then that's much closer because I was starting to think about it. Everybody seems to be coming to terms now with he's going to be a Cane, at least to start this year, right? Because I'll actually quote Eric Tulsky to NHL.com. He said this a handful of days ago. It's a lot easier to make trades before July 1 when teams have flexibility to go pivot and sign other players to replace whatever they gave up than it is after July 1 when their roster is mostly built. We're continuing to talk to teams, and we don't want to miss an opportunity to make the team better. But teams have less flexibility now than they had in June, so it's harder to find a deal now than it was then. End of quote from Eric Tulsky. So basically you take that logic and you go, all right, so it's more likely that Martin Necas is going to be a Cane. And I was looking at it going, all right, he's going to be a Cane. He kind of fills the role that we need the Canes to fill. The best version of Martin Necas scores goals on the second line. The thing I'm most concerned about with this roster, the way it's presently constructed, is who's going to score goals on the second line. And I don't see other teams. I guess maybe the one kind of time it would have made sense was right before the draft, because you might feel like you could get a player with that skill set at the top of the draft if you did get something like Columbus's fourth overall. But I don't see teams giving up a second line scorer for a second line scorer. You know what I mean?
Unless it's just a change in scenery type thing.
Which, yeah, you could trade a problem for a problem, but what are the chances that there's another mid to lower 20s frustrated 70-point scorer out there who's like, hey, let's just flip them and everybody's happy. I don't know if that's the case very often. More often trades happen because you're in win now, I'm building for the future. Let me give you my veteran good player. You give me draft picks. Or, hey, you're strong in the forwards. I'm strong on defense. I got an extra, let me give you my extra defenseman. You give me your extra forward. Mm-hmm. There's a yin and a yang to most trades. The Canes would be giving up a good goal-scoring wing and asking for a good goal-scoring wing or a good goal-scoring center. And it's like, what are we doing here? It's like chess. You take my bishop, I take your bishop. All right, we're on to the next. It doesn't
just
make
swap them out.
Yeah, it's a fair trade, but it's like that. Those trades don't happen that often.
Last time I saw that with the Carolina Hurricanes, I remember back years ago when Victor Rask was traded away from Carolina for Nino Niederreiter. It was simply just a situation of these two guys just need a change in scenery for the respective teams. Rask goes to Minnesota, Niederreiter comes to Carolina, and both did well as a result. And sometimes it's simply just that. It's like, you know what? This guy's really talented, doesn't fit our system. That guy over there is really talented, doesn't fit their system. Hey, but he fits us. This guy fits you. Let's just make a trade.
Yeah, and I guess those would have I feel like those wouldn't be hard to find, right?
It's all about making the dollars work.
When those trades happen, it's like, hey, they're dealing with the same thing we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. I didn't catch any of that vibe. For all of the imagination we let run wild, for all of the speculation that went crazy, there really weren't those types of trades that we imagined or anybody proposed when it comes to Martin Necas. A lot of the trades proposed were for other positions, headliners, and looking at what the Canes need, I think Martin Necas fills a lot of that. The hard part is You got to get him to buy back in, right? You got to somehow get him motivated to do it with the Canes and to play it within that system. But I said this earlier. Eric Tulsky, the new GM for the Canes, he in his introductory press conference, when he spoke here with us on this program, when he talked to other programs, he's made it clear he's not just an analytics guy, right? He doesn't want to be known as just a spreadsheet and calculator guy that makes all the decisions with that. But there is something to be said for, like, he has a background in hockey analytics. And even before that, even like just analytics in general, not even hockey analytics. Mm-hmm. Like he has that to his credit. And I think it would be really, really difficult to find the numbers tell you it's okay to move on from a player like Martin Necas, right? 25 years old, that's going to be good in all the algorithms, right? You expect him to get better. He's not quite in his prime. 71 points and 53 points over the last 2 years. Relatively durable. Like there's a lot of things that the equations are going to love about Martin Necas. So I think I may have gotten overzealous expecting a guy with an analytics background to say this unhappy player, we're going to trade him because he's unhappy, when he also is probably looking at a computer with numbers screaming, do not let this guy out of your facility. He's everything you look for in a player. Which probably, and by the way, you look at his production and his like experience, he probably gets even more attractive to the equations when you throw in height, weight, speed, all the combine stuff you do, like blue line to blue line and all this good stuff. He's a physically gifted player. So I'm just sitting back going like, I wonder if, they obviously spoke, right? You have an unhappy player, you're going to answer the phone when people call about him. I wonder if it wasn't kind of like a gangster negotiation, right? Where someone might say, hey, we want to offer you this player, and this pick. And Tulsky's like, psh, not even in our ballpark. Click. When we thought it was like, ooh, interesting. Well, let me talk. Let me see. Let me get back to you. It may not have been that welcoming. It may have been like, you're either going to absolutely blow our minds with your offer or no, because this player is really good and he's what we need. And now Tulsky looks at Rod Brind'amour and he says, yeah, Martin might be a little weird at the beginning of training camp, right? Might be a little disgruntled. Deal with it, coach. Like it might just be one of those. Yeah, you might want to have a conversation with him before you hit the ice. Talk to him.
We've heard anything from a 1-year deal to possibly an 8-year deal. Those are Eric Tulsky's words, not mine.
That's part of what made me go like, were they ever going to trade him? I just can't imagine you're like, yeah, we might trade him if we get a fair offer, or we'll offer him an 8-year contract. Like it doesn't seem like that's what you do for someone who you realistically got close to trading.
I mean, August 4th is his arbitration hearing, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. So we're looking at essentially 13 days to hammer out a deal.
And I want him to do it.
I hope so too. That way we can figure out what's next with Seth Jarvis.